Hi, my name is Rachel Brewster. Welcome to Humor in Heels. I am in the middle of doing the carnivore diet and documenting this experiment as I go along. I'm on week 3 of the carnivore diet, and this is what I learned in week 3. So number one, my cousin had her bridal shower, which I was a little bit worried about food-wise, and I ate some steak ahead of time, but I was still nervous about like the social aspect because I had gone out to dinner with some girlfriends the week before and it was kind of a disaster. So turns out that the woman who was hosting did brunch, and it was mostly eggs, bacon, sausage, and then I just didn't eat the hash browns or biscuits. So that worked out really well. Thank heavens. The social aspect is something I'm still obviously getting used to, given that I'm only 3 weeks in. And then while I was there, my aunt said to me, Rachel, what did she say? How did you stay so slim during COVID and all of that? And I was like, well, it hasn't been that long since she's seen me. I was like, well, do I look slimmer than the last time you saw me? And she was like, yes, definitely. And then we got distracted and I didn't have an opportunity to answer her. I probably would have said something, I don't know, like, I'm on a, I don't want to say I'm on a carnivore diet because that sounds so weird. So I probably would have said I'm on like a meat-based diet or something more like socially acceptable. But I found it really interesting that somebody who hasn't seen me in a couple of months did notice the physical difference, given that last week my measurements were like not that different. But I think I just measured myself poorly because I redid my measurements and my bust and my hips are the same, but my waist is half an inch smaller, which I don't hate because that's going to give me more of an hourglass figure, right? And who doesn't want that? So that's amazing. I forgot to weigh myself, but I'm probably my guess would be I'm the same, right? The 3 pounds that I lost that first week, and I stayed at that 3 pound loss in week 2. My guess is I probably haven't dipped more than that. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll have to remember to step on a scale next week. And the other thing I want to talk about is the adaptation phase. So a lot of people finish their adaptation phase within the first 2 weeks. 2 weeks is over. Well, third week is over. And I haven't seen as dramatic of results as I was anticipating. And I think part of that reason is I'm already fairly healthy, right? If I was obese or had an autoimmune disorder, I might see something really dramatic. But when I'm already doing well, it's actually not that surprising that I've only lost 3 pounds. Although, God bless that half an inch waist measurement change around my waist. Digging it. But now that I'm out of the adaptation phase, I realize I really didn't have any struggles with that either. Thank you. Because I hear a lot of people have like digestive issues or huge cravings, and I just didn't have any of that. But now that I'm out of that experience, I'm like, oh yeah, I was really tired. And I, at the time, was probably relating that more to like some stressors that were going on in my life. But there were a couple of times when I sat on the couch, and you know how you can just sit and like internally you just feel like sapped? Yeah, the first 2 weeks I did that a couple of times where I was sitting on the couch just normally and I was like, but like now I'm back to normal. And I haven't had like this huge, it's not like, I think the reason that you lose that energy is because your body is taking a lot of energy to move from being used to burning carbs to now burning fat and protein primarily, right? And so that was my adaptation experience, is that I was a little bit more tired. Like this, I'm not complaining at all. Like I just went on with my everyday life and just was like, whatever, who cares? So adaptation was really smooth and easy for me. I don't think I've seen like crazy massive changes because my health status has been, it's apparently pretty good, I think. But also, I do wonder if I would see more dramatic change if I reduced my dairy, specifically cheese. I'm not a huge cheese person. In fact, I'm eating way more cheese now on the carnivore diet than I ever did in my like normal life, for sure. And I've also discovered that I like three kinds of cheese, and that's it. I like the super expensive cheese, the goat cheese that's like $5 a friggin' ounce, and then I like the like $1.99 ridiculously cheap slices of cheese that you like put on your hamburgers or deli meat or whatever. And like in the last couple of weeks, I tried to buy something like in between those two extremes, and I ate it, but I didn't love it. And I think I would just added it to my diet because I was trying to get more variety. When you're eating all of these meats and it's only meat, you kind of want some variety. So I might, just because cheese, like I'm not a cheese lover, I might start dialing that back a little bit. And I am starting to appreciate the beauty of more consistent meals. Like every day I'm having a steak for breakfast at 10:30 because that's around when I get hungry, right? And so I don't need to, well, on this day I have fish and tomorrow I'm gonna have hamburger and then I'm gonna have ribs and like blah, 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 blah. Like I'm just too busy at work to care or pay attention. I want something that's gonna be satiating and letting me like focus on work. And to me, so far, that's been ribeye steak. Although even recently, like I'm not enjoying the fattiness of the ribeye as much as I did in the first couple of weeks. I think my body was probably craving fat. Gosh, pay attention, stay on track, Rachel. My point is, I think knowing what I'm gonna eat every single day is going to actually be a positive for me. I'm a pretty simple eater. Before carnivore, frankly, I was eating the same thing for breakfast and lunch, and then I got variety in my dinner, so it doesn't really surprise me that I'm like, oh, well, maybe I want the same simplicity with carnivore where I eat the same thing for lunch and then have a different kind of meat and variety for dinner. Because like really what I need during the day is not food, but fuel. Like I just need to not worry about my hunger so that I can focus on my work. And if I find the thing that does that for me, which right now it seems to be steak, cool, just do that every day so you don't have to think about it as much, right? Oh, there was one more thing that I wanted to mention. People have talked about having dreams of foods, and I did have them twice. They were both about like goodies and chocolates and things. One was about candies and chocolates, and I think the other one was about peanut butter. It was really weird because I haven't fantasized about food before, to my knowledge. But both of those dreams were during the adaptation phase as well, so hopefully those are done. And yeah, that's what I learned. My aunt told me I looked different. I had a successful social engagement at my cousin's bridal shower, and I'm kind of figuring out what does and does not work for me now that I'm out of the adaptation phase, and kind of curious what the next phase will look like. I'll have to weigh myself next week for my 1 month check-in. I'll be curious if I've dropped weight or inches next week too. If you want to find out, stick around, subscribe, whatever you do, check me out, check out my next video. Okay, talk to you then, bye.